But, okay, right now, first of all, what we're doing, we're actually introducing some new capability. Your elevator speech is very appropriate, as you'll see in a minute. So what I'm going to do is go over just some basic concepts and walk you through what needs to be done. But what we're doing as of today is we really are tying the SIG activities to give a publicly exposed view, as well as to tie them to the strategic initiatives. And you'll see concepts of public pages, and I'll explain what they are, of goals, these are your annual goals, and your projects. And I'll show you how all these tie together as we go through this. There are 2-slide presentations, or just see, and I'll be jumping back and forth. I apologize, I know an easy way to do it. But what I will do is the 2-slide, and I'll show you at the end how to find the slides that you need. But right now I'm going to start. For those of you, should be seeing the website right now. This is my page on the website. When you go to what we call the dashboard page, and it's, at the top is information we want you to know up here.
So can we who's still on the phone? Can you tell Mark?
I can't tell who's on the phone.
No, okay.
You want to ask
Is
him?
everyone on the phone following along? Mark, you have this up on your...
Yeah, it's up on, they're on it.
Okay.
Because I'm watching, what they're seeing here, I'm seeing on my phone.
Okay.
My phone is connected via...
Is anyone not seeing what Mark is showing? Who's on the phone? Okay.
Okay. Well, you got...
He's here.
Oh, there you go.
So, the first thing important, for those who don't know, you get to this page by clicking on the My Act I app at the top if you're anywhere on the website. That's how you always get back to this page. It's got general information at the top, and it's got dashboard information here. I'm not going to go through what all this stuff is. What's important, it'll have a list of communities to which you belong. If you have problems on these, let us know. You let John know if you're not a member of something you should be, and we'll get it corrected. You'll see there is a community called SIG Leadership. I don't know if you're aware of it, but most everybody, if not everybody, should be a member of it. SIG Leadership is a member of it. I just went to the site.
All right, let's just check. Is anyone in here a member of the SIG Leadership? Good? Yes?
I'm checking right now.
Okay. You might want to
Sure.
So
Have
when
you
you
tried?
go to your series, you log in, click on My Act I Act, and the page that loads is your user dashboard, and in the middle of that page is a list of all the communities that you are a member of. So that's where you go to look at it. If you're not in there, just shoot me an email and I'll fix it.
I am.
Yeah, you'll see it here in this list here. You'll see the SIG you're a member of plus 80 community. The SIG Leadership is what we call private community. You have to be invited to be a member of it. You can't join it voluntarily.
Now, what's the benefit of joining the SIG Leadership Force?
You can't. SIG leaders are a member of it. That is a SIG Leadership area. We have it on our SharePoint website. We have it on here.
For us for this.
Yeah. This is your working community. This is why it's important for me to make it. This is your working community. I want to get people using it.
Click on the SIG Leadership now. Would you do that?
Sure. I'm going to go there. This is the community. You will note, when you see these tabs on top, I'm an administrator in this community, so I have some extra privileges. Not everybody will have these privileges. Some won't, some will, some won't. But what we've got here, there's one subcommittee called Shared Services that was formed. There's no announcements. You've got a couple links here. I just put this one up. The SIG Project Summary Report, which I'm going to show you later. I also just put up this document called SIG Training Public Pages, Goals and Projects. That's the training material, and I'll show you that later. You've got meetings that are set up in there, and you've got discussions. Now, we will be revamping this page in the future, but that's what's here on this page. Now, you'll see a little bit different when we go to the SIG pages, because they're set up a little bit differently, but this is what you have. So this is where you can post your documents, where you can hold discussions, you can put announcements. You can put an announcement here, Adelaide Sherry, whatever, they're saying, hey, we're having this meeting, put your stuff here, or post it. And so it's a place for you to work. So I'm going to go back to my page. I'm going to go into one that I have. Well, actually, I'll pick one. I'm a member of the C&T SIG here, so I'll pick that one. All the SIGs now will have a page. You would notice it's a little bit different. I'm just picking C&T SIG because I know it best, but you notice there's a number of subcommunities here. And I'm not going to go into subcommunities, go into them. So if you want to know more about that, I'll go into it with you later. The purpose is not to give you every piece of this. There's a little, when you see a little I button there, you click there, and there's information that you get. You'll download a document. I'll show you how to set up a sub-community and work it. They're intended for, you call committees. Some people call them work groups, committees, they have all kinds of different names, but they're working organizations within the SIG. There is announcements here. You can see there's an announcement. You can see we have the quick links over here. We have the document library here. We have discussions.
So did you say, is this set up, this is brand new, this is something that didn't exist?
No, this all exists. This has existed for 6 months. No, very few people are using it. We need to get the SIGs using the site to collaborate. That's what it's there for. If something doesn't work or you don't like it, let us know and we will get it fixed and we'll make it. We're working on some improvements now in some different areas. I'm not going through all of them now, but what I'm going to show you today, some very specific stuff, is we developed based on feedback we got from this group about 4 or 5 months ago. Said we need something like this, and so now we've developed it, and that's what I'm going to expose to you. But the communities have been there, the announcements have been there, quick links, libraries, those have all been there.
So as you're going through this, I think one of the questions Mark's going to ask you at the very end is, what else do we do to make it easy for you to get some of that knowledge that you're creating posted on your site?
Can I mention one thing just off?
Yes.
You'll see the community announcements is the January meeting, and it was very difficult at that time, and I honestly haven't been playing with it a lot more, but it was very difficult because you can't do repeating meetings.
Right.
And so doing repeating meetings.
Repeating meeting. We're revamping the entire meetings process.
Okay.
And there's a lot. We have something called Bug Herd, which is this little tab down here, where I capture all them. There's about 50 things on meetings that people have asked me for. We've even color coded them now.
And the other
Color-coded problems are fun.
the quick links, there's a way to put the links into the actual documents, right?
Yeah, there's going to be an easier way to do that.
Okay.
I've changed that.
When you say quick links, are you thinking of like links to
Anything,
external trade associations or?
anything you want. Anything that your community needs is a URL link. Yeah. And it's it could be an external link, an internal link. You'll see, like I showed to you on the SIG Leadership, I actually give you a link to a report that I set up. That's an internal link. So it could be just, it's not something you get too quick.
I'm curious to see if it just, for example, I had the actual Word document that had all the artwork and the message we did a couple months ago. I was trying to post that at midnight last night, struggling through it. I finally copied and pasted the text. I couldn't get the artwork in. I didn't see any way to simply post a Word document like it's doing SharePoint.
You go to add a document here.
I don't know.
Go to add a document and you put the information about it. You upload the document right here.
That's where you choose the file, okay.
Yeah, that's where you choose it. Yeah.
What's the name of the
Oh, wait,
mobile
Mark,
app?
would you go through those steps?
Well, I don't.
Okay, let's get back
this is getting
into
off
the
target a little
process
bit.
so we can get through the whole thing.
I can go through some of this later because but to create a document, you go to add a document in your library.
But that just uploads a document. I don't really think
Yeah,
that's what he
trying
would
to
want.
do.
That's all he's trying to
That's
do.
all you were trying to do?
Yeah.
Well, gosh, didn't you go look careful?
So I can go over some of that if you want. I'll be around afterwards,
Yeah.
and I can show you some.
Midnight last night.
No, we've tried to, some of the things are not obvious and we're simplifying them. That's one of the things we've been told. Actually, GSA offered resources from their web usability group.
The government offered
Yeah.
us resources?
Yes, and they actually had looked at the site and gave some really good feedback.
That's pretty pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm
they
embarrassed.
they have a pretty big group over there, and I think
So much bigger than ours.
Huh?
Mark said you can use the facility to help the website, right?
No, I think input from everybody. So there's a lot of stuff coming out, and we're going through this, through the
Now,
revision.
Mark, the other thing was, okay, just adding a document is one thing, but getting them categorized with appropriate taxonomy scheme, so that it's not just one long laundry list of stuff. That's the challenge.
Well, I can go through. I'll tell you what. At the end, I'll be more glad because taxonomy's in there, and it's got a whole metadata structure with it.
Yeah, so let's start really with what is the most important thing about when they hit that front page. If somebody comes in there, the leaders are trying to keep their members informed through calendar entries. They're trying to keep management informed through outcomes. So those are really, if you say, hey, what's C&T SIG doing? Well, that's the question that I think Ken was asking. What have they been doing?
Okay.
How do they inform their audience?
Okay. There's a couple things going on. I'm going to get out of the nuts and bolts of the collaboration page. What we did is we have added some new things. I'm going to tell you, the first one is, you see down here, this little section here, which has nothing in it. You talk about elevator speeches, that's where the elevator speech goes. This is a
Show me
section,
how to update it.
see where it says read more?
Read more is my update.
No.
button.
Oops, I don't have edit capability. I'm not
Oh.
I'm not an admin here.
Okay.
I'm not an admin, so, see, I don't have privileges to everything. Let me go,
Okay.
let me go.
You're admin to at least one SIG though, aren't you? I think.
Oh, yeah, but not on that one.
I'll go,
Well,
I'll
this
go
is-
ahead
I
Melis's gonna
have,
go look.
I have 8
I'm
different
gonna change
accounts.
it.
So,
Okay,
you know,
you
yeah,
say that you have admin. for
I'm
it,
gonna
so
go
we
to,
can
I'm
see
gonna
how
go
you
to
do
my
it.
website development.
Let's
This
do
is my
that.
area.
and I'm gonna add it right now to collaboration and see what
See where it says
happens.
read more down here? When you go to read more, you'll see a little, ooh, I don't have the edit tab there.
Oops.
No, I'm not getting, I got the wrong count.
View and
There's gotta be an edit somewhere.
Now, I gotta check login under, I
Do
gotta
you
log
have
in
an edit
under.
on yours?
I'm
yeah, I
doing
went,
mine
I went
right
to
now.
that course instead of.
I have to log in as a different account.
We
Give me a
found
second
it.
here.
Okay, so
Well, give me a
Acquisition
second.
6 found their edit, and Collaboration and Transformation is about to find theirs.
I got it, I'm typing it in so you
No,
can see
that's
it.
okay.
Perfect.
I've got to, you should all see it, but I've got to,
That's okay. You can go to
I gotta get on the right,
I'm just gonna stop so you can make sure.
You guys
it
find
comes
your
through.
edit capabilities there?
Oh, yeah.
Can I look at your screen?
Last night, deep down read.
Is it staying?
I have a question.
Are you,
Oh,
are you even,
up.
are you even
So you have
in
a
leadership
view,
yet?
and
Yeah,
then-
you're in edit.
Yeah.
I just sent John an email.
So I started
Mark,
typing,
Mark,
so
when you're
it's
set up,
something
while
I just
you-
did like,
Yeah, when I got to the edit last night,
so reload, log in.
Keep
I
going.
got to the point where I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to
There.
copy paste.
You gotta
and
go all the way to the
in
very
there. I
bottom
wasn't
and
able to find
save.
the post, but I got this edit, and all of a sudden I was throwing this middle word, okay, it looked like I had to,
Here
I had
now,
to,
it should be.
selectively take text and put it between the HTML tags.
So when you click.
yeah, yeah, I'm not sure where you were, but I'll have to take a look at it.
Okay, we were able to
Okay.
do this for the
Okay,
CTC.
here we are.
So,
Well, just, well, this is important, this is where we start. This is
Yeah.
what,
Human capital,
I'm gonna give
did
you
you guys
terminology.
find your edit?
No.
No, all right, slow down,
Okay.
not everyone has
let me
found
take
it.
you through. The whole purpose of this, what I'm going to show you today, is to get your information exposed to non-members, to let them know what to do and to tie into strategic initiatives. So I'm going to go back to my presentation for 1 second here.
thank you.
So,
Huh?
And there's a sequence of steps you go through here. You're gonna develop your public page, which is what we're doing. You're going to then work on who has administrator privileges to edit and your site, and that's something you have to do. You're going to create sub-communities, develop your annual goals, and you develop your projects.
Perfect.
These are things you don't have right now. The way this all maps is pretty good. Right now you have your, see that? You have your SIG work group up here. We've created a new SIG page which is exposed to the public. Anybody, whether they're a member, non-member, anonymous, will see this page. There is
So that is truly the most important page for your city,
right.
right?
That's the projects. You'll see what they're going to see. I'll take you through what they see in a minute. You're going to have goals that are associated with your SIG. They're annual goals. You're supposed to be developing them every year anyway. And then you're going to develop your project activities, whatever you want to call them. Those are specific projects. It might be doing the best practices study. You've all got them. I know that I sit in many of the SIGs. I know you've all got them.
Mark, where are you going to post this presentation?
It's already posted.
Is it?
SIG Leadership.
Okay.
Training material.
What does the G and C mean?
Those are codes for groups and content. Yeah, sorry about that. That's a tax on strategic priorities already exist.
I have a, well, I don't want to get too off track, but I have an unexpected display of information on my screen.
All right, put the show.
Content. So the Planning and Architecture SIG has a great deal of information on its landing page.
Mhm.
And when I go to the read more and I look at the body section where you're supposed to populate your
Right.
changes, it doesn't have the text that's on the page.
No, it doesn't, because that's a different piece. There's two pieces. Let me go back to that in a minute. There are two pieces. We'll come back. Yeah, it's probably important to show you. When you go back and you're looking at a page, and I don't have anything. There are two places where you'll see some text up in this area. I don't have any in this one. That is something that is generated from that form that John puts into that form maintains. That is our official description. You should probably all be looking at that and giving a, in fact, I'll go to the P&A SIG, I think I have this one. You should probably all be looking at that and getting it to John, whatever your current description you want in there. The problem with that is you can't put in, you cannot put in links and other stuff. Now what you did is you went in and edited over that. So if we ever do an update from that forum on your SIG again, it's going to be just wiped out. That's why it's important that what we're doing now.
Experienced that.
Yeah.
What you see here is what I did last night at midnight.
Right.
After I couldn't post, I did that.
Right. But,
Hashtag,
but see, that's going into the controlled area, and we're trying to get somebody's. You know, it's a tough thing because we're dealing with a true system integration. There's NetForm and there's Drupal. I won't go to all the technology, but it gets me. So what you've got.
What are you editing when you said read more?
If you read more, you're editing what I call the public page.
Okay, so this is the section that would display below
Right.
what John would enter.
Right.
So there's the high-level description that John
Right.
would enter, and then there's anything you would like
Right.
to augment that description.
And that'll become the area that you can maintain. You can put links in. Like I said, you said you have problems putting graphics in there. Of course you do, because that doesn't fit well. That wasn't designed for that. That's I understand where you're going, yeah. And there are tricks to doing stuff. That graphics can be a little bit trickier, but there are tricks to doing all that stuff. So that's what it is. So you've now, so this is the page. You notice that you'll see the SIG link back to the SIG for members only. We've managed to do some things that when members come in, that they can go in and do stuff that non-members can't do.
But this is still the public page, right?
This is your SIG page. Yeah, it is. Yeah, what I was on.
So let me repeat that. This part is what John should have placed there himself, and when I come to read more, that's what I should have updated.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you didn't know that because it's just been introduced. So what we have is a description that's in that form that John will maintain control of. Is that correctly stated, John? Yeah. You should give those to John. I know not many of them are out of date. There is then a second piece, which is going to be your piece. Just saying here, I set these all up, have done them this morning and yesterday, so oops, I got type weaving in there. But they always should start saying the XYZ SIG, the full name of the SIG, and then the abbreviation. We have so many pages, just start off the P&A SIG, and nobody knows what P&A stands for. So we're trying to get this. They should all end with, if it's not somewhere else in there, for more information, contact, we using John Shaw. He's a point of contact. So someone who does not have access to the private areas of your SIG, who's a non-member or an anonymous login, they know who to call if they want to know more. You notice also there's a last update date there. So hopefully we'll be able to keep track of getting those updates on a regular basis. You also know when you look at this page, you see projects over here. Projects, subcommunities, and interest areas. They show this is what a member of the general public would see when they go looking at your SIG. And I'll show you how to get projects in there and stuff in a minute. Subcommunities. If you go look at the CT SIG, you'll see. Well, this one has one. You have one subcommunity here. Now the interesting thing is, I'm a member, so I have a link there. If I'm a non-member, it'd just be a text. So say you would. So it gives someone a feel for what you're doing. This is your area. You talk about your elevator speech. This is it. It says what projects you're working on, what your communities, your subcommunities are, which gives you some in your areas of interest. And we'll be refining these as we go, but those are all in there. So I'm going to go back to the area I can actually do my editing to show you. And there's screenshots and all this. I know it's going to be a lot to absorb, and I apologize for that up front. So the first thing you want to do when you go into your site is look at what's on it, make sure the description you provide, John, is correct. Put in your description down here. To do that, it's just go in. You just click on the edit. If you don't have the edit button, that means you don't have privileges to edit. Not everybody can edit content.
And so you just start typing down below the line there?
Yep, down here.
Yep.
This is where it goes. You can do, if you're cutting and pasting from Word, you can do copy from Word. Do a Control-V when you put it in here. Don't use a paste function. Use a Control-V. And then the paste will convert everything to text. A Control-V will get you, and then you still have some formatting to do, because if you do fancy formatting, it gets trouble. But
Well, before you leave that topic, the first problem I encountered last night was I copied the text as it was, all spacing, saved it, and I came in to read it, and it just merged everything in one long fell swoop of text, and even inserted a bunch of strange-looking acronyms. page.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going back and edit it, you know.
We could try to get them to.
Why don't you try it here while we're sitting here and see if that keeps going, because it's not midnight. And we have another opportunity.
Okay, yeah, good point. I'm gonna.
But the other thing-
I hate to say it, but
I
at
just,
midnight,
yeah, I don't want us to be, I don't want us to be able to 7 o'clock to either.
You're saying
No,
it's
I can go through that afterwards with you. There's a lot to cover, and if we,
Yeah.
I'll spend as long as I need to afterwards with people.
I don't want to bog us down.
You say it inserted a bunch of strange looking acronyms, but you do realize we work for the government market.
and you do realize that we've read
Well,
some.
what's that? This is
We
crazy
know you
stuff.
use
Some-
strange
a lot of it is, it's really not a cut and paste. Most websites are not good cut and paste. We have the same problem with SharePoint. For those of you who work with SharePoint, it's every other CMS I've worked with had some problems in it. So I can give some tips.
Well, I know what it did. I know exactly what it did. Every time it found P&A,
Yeah,
it took P&, blue, A.
I know.
P&, blue, A.
Yeah, I know exactly what it did. I know,
Okay, thank
and I know exactly what's happening. There you go. I can tell.
Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Say and.
I'm going to walk you through real quick.
Let's keep moving.
All this information is in the PowerPoint. I'll come back to it. I mean, I don't know how much. Would you go to 3:30?
Yeah.
We've got a lot to cover still. The work you should see in the SIG reference. You should see a reference to your SIG. You know, it says
Where are you now?
right here, SIG reference.
What's on the top?
I'm emptying the public page.
Okay.
I haven't changed the page.
Okay.
Editing the public page. There's the content.
All
You
right.
put-
You have to go a long way down before you hit save. There's a lot of stuff you can see here. There's a lot of stuff on this page.
Right, I'm going to take you through it all, and
We're
it's all.
saving what we just wrote. Okay.
If you go through, that's the wrong one. I have this one here that has all the websites there for you. They're numbered, and the numbered things coincide with the other one. So there's 2 presentations. I don't think we have time to go through every detail, but I'll go through as much as I can. So you're going to put SIG, that should already be in there for you. That should be stating, because I built all these. So that's going to state yours. Don't change it, unless it's wrong. It shouldn't be wrong, because it wouldn't be to you. That's your reference, that's used to keep. You've got your interests. I picked them as best I could. Feel free. You need to pick these. These are important because this starts to map things back and forth across the system. So,
And let's see, are the 4 priority areas in this?
not in this one. You'll see in a minute.
Not that one.
This is in your public page description.
And shared services isn't there. There were a bunch I saw, so I'll send those to you.
So you go in, when you're done, you just hit the save button, and it's saved. We have it set so to create a new version every time you do it, so if we have to roll back to an old version because you screw something up, we can do that. I've learned that lesson
Just
hard.
a question, when I was just looking at this edit page
Mhm.
on my laptop, the delete button just said delete, it didn't say delete all revisions.
That's because you don't have any revisions yet.
Okay, I had hit some of the check boxes.
Did you save it?
No, because I didn't want those. I think
Well, until you save it, you won't have a
He's
revision.
scared.
I was trying to cancel and I saw delete.
No,
Oh.
delete's not a delete's not a cancel. To cancel, go back. That's a good point. There is no cancel button. I don't know why Drupal does. This is a Drupal thing.
I'm just saying that it would be a point of confusion.
Yeah, and I'm trying to
Delete
figure.
what would be my first question,
Mhm.
right?
I want to remove the delete button completely, to be honest, but yeah, I've got to fight back on that one because I don't like deletes. We unpublish when we don't want something, and that way we don't lose the content. When you delete it, it's gone.
I'm just saying for when you get new knowledge chairs or communication chairs or new vice chairs, they're gonna go in there and they're gonna see delete and they're gonna go, huh?
So can you explain what that delete does?
It deletes it.
What you just typed.
No, everything. Everything.
No,
It's gone.
so
Boom. It's
all
wiped
of
out
it-
of the system.
Right, that's what I thought, okay. So that will delete all these
This is my
years.
point.
Right, that's
I will
what
get.
I'm-
I just made
Don't
a-
touch delete.
I'm going to get rid of delete buttons because you guys.
Can you make it red?
First off,
Just
remember,
get rid of it.
you have to be an administrator to do this. Not everybody can do this. We got to give
Well, we
people
have
permission.
quite
So
a
it's a little
few
bit of training.
administrators.
We have lots of administrators.
And please take a look, this is attached to the minutes for today of the SIG names that are administrators in your SIG, because all of these people can be hitting the delete button, oh, by the way.
Okay.
I'll get rid of it.
So-
I think I can get rid of it. I hope I can. That's the problem. Some of these you can, some of them you can't.
All I would offer is that somebody needs to know that there's a safe way to say, oops, I didn't mean to do that, I just want to get off the page.
Yeah,
Are you
and that-
sure you
that's
want
the back button.
everything?
Understand.
Give them a twice, double check it.
I don't know why they don't provide a cancel button. That is throughout Drupal, they don't do that. I don't know why.
Is there an undo log available?
Not when you delete. Delete's permanent. It'll tell you when you do it. It's going to tell you this is permanent, cannot be undone.
So at least then you get it up to some.
Oh yeah, it doesn't go. Yeah, there's. But I'll get rid of it for you guys. I can see if I can do that. So I'm sure I can. I can do that. Okay, so that's to do. So that would be how you create your public page. Now, I'm going to do something. Yeah. Hang on a second. Give me a second here. And here's why that's important. We're not going. This is not exposed to the public yet. I put an arbitrary date of June 12th, but John, Adelaide, and Sherry got to tell me what the heck. I'm going to put this public, which means that when a public person, a non-member, an anonymous person goes in, they click on this shared interest page here, the shared interest group here. Instead of going to some long wordy page, they're going to go to this page. This page shows them your groups. Here's your description. Here's the interest areas you're in.
And can an anonymous person click on these?
Only members will see that column. If you're anonymous, such as this guy over here, you don't see that column at all.
What happens if you click on that position?
Okay. It takes you to the public page. That's the public page.
Okay,
Just
that's
showing.
what-
Just that. Yeah. Now you notice their public page would be a little bit. Actually, I'll tell you a good one to show you is the C&T because they've actually got communities. You notice their communities are listed, but you can't link. They're not linkable. You can't click on it. If you remember, you could click on it. So you're exposing information to the public. This is what this is about.
Go below, are the red ones, are the blue ones clickable?
Yeah, those are interest areas. So you can see other things that interest area. Yeah, exactly. Make sense so far? So I'll go back. So, now does that? Okay, go back. Okay, so that took us to, I'm going to get back up. I'm going to get back to my, okay, this is my ordinary thing. So now, once you've done that, you've got a description of your SIG. The next thing is you have annual goals. They're down here. You need to create your goals. And the goals are important because things link to the goals. That's your next step.
I just was trying to create some goals, and you can't put a list of goals in, which would be helpful. But then when you actually start putting them in, there are 5 required fields, it looks like. And it's really difficult when you're just starting to know the answers to what the milestones are going to be.
TBD.
Okay.
But
Just
remember,
put TBD.
those are going to be exposed to the public, so you better, you should have.
I guess that's what her point is.
Well, the rule was, when we set this up, and I was told, we have to set up a project or a goal. But goals don't have milestones. You're doing a project.
Yeah, I'm doing
Okay,
a project.
let's start goals. Let me come to that in a minute.
Sorry.
Yeah, here's a goal. You click that button, if you see the button. Again, you've got a goal title. I'm creating a new one. You put a description of the goal, and I don't know what you want to go in the description of the goal, but remember, people are going to see this. They're going to use this. They should talk about what you're doing, who you're doing, maybe who your sponsors
Now,
are.
your goals also were in your elevator statements, right? That was one of the things you covered in your elevator statements.
No, and it would be nice just to have the list, so then we could work on them later, Because then we get something in there so everybody could see, well, here are the projects CMT's working on without having to put everything in. Or here are the goals.
It's a challenge. Well, it's a challenge because things are linked. And if you don't link them now, they're gone. And you can't link them later. It's harder. You've got to set them up properly because they're going to link to strategic initiatives. So you've got to at least put one strategic initiative in there. So you can change them.
Well, let's walk through a process
Let's do
and
one.
let's just do one. And let's call it, let's create a goal, all right? So the goal is to
Well, this is
inform.
Yeah, let
This
Lisa
is-
do it. Yeah, it's CNT.
This
right?
is CNT.
No, this is my area. This is my play area.
Inform
Anything you do here is a test site. So don't
Right.
worry.
Inform government of the upcoming legislation for A123. And in detail. blah, 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 blah. OMB is meeting to determine new legislation for A123, reducing requirements, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Put anything here. Okay.
Now this, by the way, goals are not seen by the public. Goals are seen within your SIG. We don't.
Okay, that's
okay,
fine.
so this is good.
So let me just tell you that the natural human observation here is to try and save this. Because you're about to scroll past the screen where you won't be able to see it, right?
Yeah.
So now I can't see it, it disappeared, it doesn't exist. It's like when you come around
I
the
can see
corner. When you come around the
I-
corner and you're driving, the reason people hit their brakes for no reason is because you can't see, right?
But we can't
So
drive.
let's walk through this.
Well,
It's just something.
The whole site, you're going to have to get, and by the way, this is, you had the same thing in SharePoint, but you had to go down through the page. We had to go through, work our way through it.
Okay,
So-
so we'll do, we're not, I'm
Yeah,
just
where do you want to put
making
the Act
observations.
23 function?
We're
Strategic.
correcting some of the reasons why this is difficult. We were asked to do that.
Okay.
We are. So we're going to call this, it's not secure sharing or safe party, it's planning, management,
What is it?
delivery,
Okay.
right? Take secure sharing off.
Whatever.
And a priority will always be one until it's something else. It will be active, it's got a year 2014,
And that's it.
and that's it.
But that's not the project. the one
No.
you have
This
to-
is the goal.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now you know a goal that's always available to internal to your organization.
Now
Goals
just-
seem to be simple. Let's
Now
add
where
a
is-
Okay,
project.
I'm saving it. I just saved it. And your goal should be there. There it is. Inform government. Right there's your goal.
Okay, so the goals are up there, and those are only visible to members of the SIG.
Right.
Okay, so now let's add a project, because that's what the public's gonna see. Add a new project. And we're going to call this A123 panel. Panel. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
I'm just going to leave this boilerplate in here
yeah,
for now.
blah, blah, okay.
Okay.
Anticipated outcome, government is informed of the changes of A123.
Now, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get some guidance and outcomes. This is something I don't fully understand. You know, how do you measure it? It's got to be something that's measurable. How do you measure an outcome? That's
I'm going to give that to the public. That's going to be the public, anticipated outcomes. I will have
Out?
224 government employees. Okay, I'm just telling you how boring that's going to be. Just making a statement.
Maybe just a list of the projects, because.
No,
Well,
Or
we
the
can
dates by when
we
they're
can go
gonna
through what we
outcome.
show the public. I
By-
can
By
change it.
fourth quarter,
we have to
2014.
figure this out
Yeah.
then, because, you know, I don't want the SIG chairs trying to figure this out at midnight.
Well, first of all, someone's going to be guided as to
That's what our
what
day
goes
job
in
is.
these. And I'm not the one to set that guidance. It's,
Okay, so government is informed of the changes in A123 prior to the document's publication.
Is there any input from industry on this?
Better be, because government doesn't inform government of anything,
No,
any
no.
changes to the
Okay.
document.
Because if you remember the little sheet that you had that you did last year that we used to have on SharePoint that we did, this
Is
is
it
the
still
same.
out there? Do we have that little sheet that identifies what the outcomes are supposed
I
to be
have
and how to
it.
measure it?
Nobody ever filled out outcomes, just so you know. That's what the
Okay.
problem. Okay.
All
So
right,
then if I-
strategic initiatives, planning, management, delivery. Interesting would be financial, slow down.
Okay.
Financial management
Governance.
and well, not really. It would be, yeah, but where's governance?
Okay. It's missing there. You got just put in requests. I've had these been like this for 6 months. So
No, not for A123.
No, I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm talking
Security?
about the project. Yeah, it would be normally governance, so you keep going, right? I still have it saved and I'm scared,
Okay.
because I think it disappeared.
I did try to put a sub-community in,
Subcommunity needs to be financial management committee.
and I did try to
Oh.
put it in, but I couldn't get it in.
Why not?
I typed in financial and it said this isn't a recognized.
Yeah. Well, that's because, you got to look how you name your communities. Their name, they pop up. I'm in my area, so I have to use one of my subcommunities. I can't put it in a
So
subcommunity for.
what you're saying is before you do this, if you're going to want to do it correctly, you have to make
Yep.
sure all your subcommunities are already there.
Right.
Populated.
And if you're,
So financial management committee, you shouldn't have to know, you should be able to just type a
It should
character,
be in
right?
there.
No, I have it.
you can. Remember, I said here, if you look at this as a sequence of
Yeah.
events,
Let's
one
do
thing to
this.
set up your subcommittees before doing your goals.
Well, it's
Before
here.
you even do your project.
Yeah, again, we do goals before projects. There's a sequence of a sequence. That's a sequence.
All right, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, so what you do? I only type test in. If you notice, if I type, it shows me those are the ones.
Okay, go ahead and pick one.
These are my test committees. So now let's go put in that. And you're not required to have a subcommittee, but generally you have it being worked in a subcommittee. That'll link it for later.
How'd you do
I
that?
typed the F key.
Okay.
You found it?
I'm a magician.
Somewhat like when we're in TC,
Cool.
maybe this project had to do with the NS 2020 working group.
Right. You
That's-
And he had that set up as the subcommittee reference.
Would be
Right.
NS
Yeah.
2020 working group, and if you just type the first letter,
NS
it will come up.
Yeah,
As long as we had it
yeah,
set up. in the
As long
first
as you
place.
set it up in his order.
yeah.
I
It
think that,
doesn't auto-complete.
you know, frankly, I think the real issue is having that little list in order of how things have to happen.
But,
And if the first three are done, everything else will follow.
That's in the
but see
brief.
what else is required here. I mean,
Okay, let's go.
this is too much to have required.
Well, the time we can undo it, but if you don't, you're going to
Project
have.
milestones, we can't have project
They
milestones.
won't have
at
project
this level.
milestones for, at
All right,
this
let's go
one.
back to status though. He's still
Okay.
doing status.
Status. These are the status that are defined. If you need other status areas,
So
tell
it's in
us.
planning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would anyone ever go in and say delayed?
Because projects are delayed. If you said your initial things, they might have said,
Let's
it's
not-
not all these are exposed
Let's
to the
just
public.
write these down. Let's
Just-
write
yeah.
these questions down.
You need to tell me what the stats are, but they are delayed. We have projects that they say, I'm going to do it in June, and it doesn't get done to November because the people you're pulling together aren't available. So,
Okay, under project status comment, in a
Whatever you
case
want.
like this, it would be early planning,
or whatever you want to put in there.
early. Project milestone. We
Mm-hmm.
probably won't necessarily have any right now,
Okay.
so we can do TBD.
Right now, I'm going to make a TBD. If you want me to take the milestones, deliverables out, I'll take them
I
out.
actually believe that project milestones and deliverables have to be an optional field based upon, now, if I were going to put my data requirements hat on, it would be as long as you're in planning. When you're in execution, you're gonna need deliverables, right?
Well, I don't
But
have that. Yeah.
as long as you're in planning, you're trying to figure that out.
Okay.
And putting bad things in is worse than putting nothing in.
So if you put nothing in, what happens? Will it
You
let
can't.
But now you can't. It's a mandatory field right now. That's what the asterisk means. I'll make it optional. That's.
Let's make that optional.
Okay.
Well, but I like Sherry's idea of making it mandatory.
I
when you
I
I
don't
don't
think they
have that
have
option.
capacity to do
Yeah,
that.
that's too much. We don't have the budget for it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's a major coding. This is using the capability.
Okay, well, let's go,
Okay.
keep going.
Priority.
Priority is one, we leave it that way. And the SIG goal, you already had that
Okay.
in there, it should,
Yeah. But these are my goals. Just pick one. It could be multiple goals, by the way. You can pick multiple goals if you wanted.
didn't we just add one?
Uh,
Yeah, okay, so you can have multiple goals.
Yeah, I don't know what we just. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Thank you,
There it is.
let's actually use that. There
Okay.
we go. So hit enter, and how do you add those?
Hmm? What?
I
Huh?
can't stand going past the
I
screen
know.
without,
What?
We still haven't saved anything.
you still haven't saved anything. I know. Okay, so I'm not gonna put any contact information in for right now. And it's not
Well, right now,
mandatory.
yeah, it's mandatory.
I don't see a red asterisk.
I don't,
Or is it, maybe it's not.
No, that
Might
wasn't
not be.
there.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't have to have a file.
No, files are optional. And by the way, the files are there because people said sometimes we have files associated with our projects.
I like files being associated.
Inactive is strictly a flag for us to turn it off later from displays. That's a future flag.
So you can actually, if you're in the early planning stage, you can click inactive so it doesn't display publicly, but you can manage it.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
I like that.
All right, and then hit save. Cool.
And now I've got a project down here that we just called.
A123 panel.
And when you look at it, here's what's in it. Now, this is your view of what's in it.
May I ask sort of a logistics question as we're going through the changing of the guard, and you have the elections roles supporting folks. There's a learning curve, and even when you know it, there's time that it takes to plan for and then enter this information. One of the things that I thought was really powerful that we've done in prior years is the knowledge sharing meeting, right, to kind of help new SIG leaders get their feet under them and learn about some of the things that are working and not working. But there also needs to be a component that prepares either your communication chairs or your knowledge management chairs to go through this kind of boot camp. Because it is not something that you're just gonna have somebody volunteer and then suddenly they're gonna have to go to school to learn how to use
Stephanie's
this.
shaking her head over there.
And
like
it's not that this is
communications.
bad, it's just that this is different enough and there's enough process oriented to it that you have to come at it with a very structured and time-intensive approach.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
personally that as the leaders of these SIGs, you get those first 3 done, and then your communications chair can help you manage on going forward. As leaders, it's your responsibility to set the goals for your SIG for the year, right? Or for that period. It could be for 2 years, right? It's also your responsibility to connect that into the overall goals and objectives of the organization. As that change, I don't think a communications chair should be expected to do that. I do agree with you that it's going to take a learning curve. Because when I go look at that, especially when it comes to the deliverables, the milestones, it's going to put your SIGs back into one of those meetings that we had, right, at C&T, which is not just, let's have a panel, but let's talk about business. You're going to have to actually have a SIG business meeting to do this. So it puts...
And we can schedule another tutorial for the communication chairs as well.
Well, do we have an online, can we do an online tutorial? Did we record this? We're recording this.
But
And I'm looking.
one thing I will state though,
I think we
Sherry,
should do,
to set up a project, as far as I know, the committees do a project plan to set up a project, get approval for a project. If they're doing a best practice study, I know that we set up the IVV SIG, or a committee, and they start doing, they have project, we have paper project plans all over the place that are not published.
I think the spirit of what I'm after and trying to communicate here is that I think there needs to be a very deliberate effort by the SIG chairs and vice chairs
but then,
to understand that planning has to occur in the SIG. And then for those situations where you might not have someone to transfer the knowledge, this group needs to be able to provide that boot camp capability so that incoming people who don't have mentors can hit the ground running.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I think it's a very
And
good
I think you need to be
point.
explicit
I
about it.
I like the idea of the boot
plan
camp.
to do it.
Well, actually, I think it was a good idea that John invited a lot of the new incoming people to this meeting today. And I don't know if that was on purpose. Or
It was on purpose.
Yeah, we wanted to have as many folks, and obviously, the folks who were on the board are not there any longer. We were even setting up so they could do it.
Right.
But one of the other things, and we shared this with you, I think, at our last meeting, the meeting before, are the roles and responsibility of the SIG, of the elected officers. And putting this information on your website is one of their responsibilities, as well as capturing who comes to the meetings and the minutes and all that.
Which is where that should be done.
Yeah, and we knew
If
that it wasn't
somebody's coming to your
happening.
meetings,
Yeah.
you should have that meeting up there, right? So in our heads, the way this could be used effectively is not as an afterthought, but while
During
you're
the
in
meeting.
your meeting,
Yeah.
right? So if you can bring it up, right? If you bring this up, how could, for instance, just help me understand and help them understand. If I do an agenda for a meeting, or presume I don't do an agenda, right? I don't do an agenda. But I am in a meeting and I've got it up and I've got my schedule and I want to record everybody that participated and then I want to capture what happened. So that to me is the only way to effectively use this. If you have to go backwards all the time, you're not going to do it.
Well, and there's, even before you get to the meeting itself, setting up the meeting and coordinated with John's schedule, there's no way to connect the two, and it's very difficult to set those meetings up. But once you set it up, it would be great to have the agenda and like have a form that you could do to, keep the notes.
Mhm.
I did just put goals in, and the goals are much easier, so.
So before the website turned over, Linda, we had our agendas on the web and we updated them on the web. Is that still there for the CNT SIG, or did we lose
The
that?
agendas are there, they're in the archive area. They're there, but nobody's,
Not archives, but show us how a SIG would put their agenda on the
it's
web.
a document right now. It's
So
not
it's
a wiki
really
like
an
before.
interactive, collaborative type
No.
of.
No, We're working on that.
Okay.
The CNT SIG, as far as I know, is the only one that did it that way.
Well, Mark set it up for us. So what he had was, we had a really hard time getting anyone to take notes. I mean, it was like, you all been there, right? So the agenda was basically the same. It was report out. I mean, the center of it was the same. We'd have some new announcements up front and at the end. And we would take turns in the meeting. It was on our webpage of just as people were speaking, just putting a few notes after that topic. So at the end of our SIG meeting, the notes were taken. They were done. They were
SIG
posted.
meaning monthly meeting or
Yes,
monthly
the monthly
phone
meetings.
calls or what?
Yes, yes.
Both?
You are required to track attendance at SIG meetings or events, right? So if you're working in the committee, we need somebody tracking who's participating and what are these outcomes, right? That's the whole, we're trying to get an idea of the picture of the SIG in 5 years, right? And to understand what the SIG needs to be in 5 years, we need to know what the SIG is today. And we've had a barrier to that because of ineffective social media ways to share it, but we're trying to overcome that with the new website. We know it's not perfect, but if we can figure out effective ways to use it, so we can at least get an idea of how many people are coming, what are they doing, why are they coming, why is everybody coming? Why are they coming to your meetings? There's a reason.
And some of the committees, like the Financial Management Committee and the CNT SIG has 40 people in it, right? So it's as big as a SIG. So they were emailing each other the minutes of the meetings. Well, that's fine if you're on that committee, but it's not fine if you're not. So at one time, we had the capability of them posting that to the website, so that you could see what happened at the last meeting, and they usually have a lot of government people show up, so really good guidance type of stuff.
Don't we have the signage? That's what John always brings when we have a meeting.
And where is it on your website? Where is that?
We don't post those online. We don't have
You don't?
those that.
I think when we talked about
I'm
standing
just
up
trying to
this
get-
portal,
trying to-
everything you just described was the intent
Right.
back then, was to have an interactive, real-time way to exchange this information and capture it through the portal. And I recall that, and I think there's a good effort here to do that, but back to my earlier point, I think it's going to require a bit of acclimation and a bit of a culture shift to get that to actually happen. And I think you're doing a good job of trying to promote that now, getting people to focus on it. So I didn't want to disrupt this flow too much with that, but
I think it deserves disruption.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with disruption. Not
you-
destruction.
You have about
Be
10 minutes
disruptive.
left of this meeting, and
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you get closure on some key issues that we can move forward with perhaps.
Okay.
There is one more piece that needs to be covered, so.
Well, let's hit that.
Yeah, and that's the summary report. This is what's going to, the boards are going to look at, the executive committees. They asked for this. One thing that starts the executive is we don't know what the SIGs are doing. Now, they're the people who approve the monies and they do a lot of, and they don't know what's going on and they don't sit in the meetings. So we used to have a report, a spreadsheet, but this, by the way, this is a work in progress right now, but it provides all the projects that are going on. It's sortable. It's, they can see what the outcomes, what you're doing. So they can look at what you're doing. They want a long spreadsheet format, but it's.
I remember we used to do that, right? And it was horrific.
Yeah, it's hard.
So-
But this is driven by the project entries and the status that you provide
Right.
at any given.
Yeah.
It's all data driven. You don't have to enter anything new now. I'm going to go in, for example, pick the ones that we just did right now, okay? These are the ones, and they can pick it by, strategic initiative. They can look at what's, or actually, I got to change the priorities. We can do that.
So we thought, rather than ask you to do this matrix thing again, it'd be better to keep the information on your SIG and tag it so that for reports and summaries, it can just be pulled.
Yeah. It's just so much information that they want to see in one, one
Well,
line.
and they want to see it often, and they want to see it usually in just a little switch, right? So I'd like to know what you've done, and I'm going to ask you for that presentation 3 times in the next 6 months.
Or I'm going to ask you for it in 3 days.
But yeah, we don't want to give you a whole lot of lead time on it, because it's just that's the way we roll. But
So So here, for example, this is what this community is doing related to this strategic initiative. At least you can look at it, you can filter through and see what's going on. I know there's a lot, CET has a lot of projects, probably has 20, 30 projects going on, there's quite a few. And they're all pretty well defined. I mean, the information here, for the people running the project, you don't want the knowledge man, you want the person that's running the project to do. This is how they do it. And, the goals can be done at a higher level, but they're working at their level, they know what they're doing. And believe me, I know at least in the SIGs I'm a member of, which is, I think, 6 of them.
So you heard what he said.
Well,
Have the project leads do their own.
So do they need to be admins to do that?
Yeah.
No.
Did you look at that list?
I don't believe they need to be admins to do it, but I'll double check that to make sure.
Oh,
Create the
or if they
project
do it under their subcommittee.
Right.
They can't do it on subcommittee, they have to do it on the SIG right now. We haven't carried this down to subcommittee level. We'll make sure they can get access to it. That's one of the things we have to do as we work this through is we'll have.
So oh, okay, I don't have admin. Let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
I don't have admin.
Okay, see if you can do it. If not, we can.
You guys keep going.
So, but that's what's come. So what we're talking about, things that give exposure to the public, that give you internal working documents, and that let the executive committees and other people know what you're doing. And you can even use this report in your own SIG. If you want to go through it, just walk through it. Take everything in your SIG, and I don't have projects anywhere.
Well, also, as like for some of the larger SIGs, as the projects are reporting out on what they're doing, you might want to pull up their project page, right? And update it as you go, or have them update it.
Just like a
right?
forecast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In CRM,
And the more you can do that real time rather than someone having to think about it at midnight, the better it is, and the least
I got a
painful
lot
it
of
is.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mark, one of the issues, at least the capital SIG's gonna have, all the stuff you're talking about is good. The meeting room that we regularly meet in does not have internet access, and when we go to government locations, many of them we do not have have internet access. So we're gonna have to do it after.
Yes, that's a good point, though.
I can't add a project.
Can you click on the definition of governance and just see?
If you don't have the button, you can't add it. So.
I have edit,
So
but I don't have
No,
add.
she can't add. No, she can't add it.
Which means
Okay.
the
No, these are permission things that we have to
Okay.
test. I tried
So
to test
the
them as
list-
best I
The
could.
list attached to today's meeting notice has the folks on your SIG who have admin. So please let John know who you want to add or subtract from that list.
Can I ask a question going back to a statement that we just made? To the extent that we want to be capturing
I can't touch it.
who attended.
Mhm.
Quick links.
And the I staff has that if they have the physical form. Can it be displayed?
John, I have to let you answer that one.
When you type the who attended sheet back, we don't post it here.
Correct.
Can we at least see it internally? Since
Yeah.
there's
Send it back to you
You
guys.
just scan it and post it, right? I mean, was that possible?
We don't post it. It's about keeping personal information.
It's just supposed to be a title. That's not supposed to be. The
So,
It gets
Offline publicly or offline privately? I mean, would it go in the private areas or would it go, or it would not be
There
period?
is no reason for it to ever be on the website.
That should be it.
That just opens us up to
Save it.
someone taking it.
No, that's why I'm just making sure we don't just, scan it and put it on our sites. Oh, you just use it.
So only agendas go on here and notes go on here,
The
but not
spreadsheet ahead of
events.
time.
Not
and
events?
Scan and
Is that
send them back after the fact. Then
What's that?
What does that mean?
Sometimes.
so I'm just a little confused. A
quite a
little
bit
earlier, I thought I heard that we were supposed to be capturing the attendees to all of our events.
Yes.
Yeah.
And recording them on the site so that there's some traceability.
Yes.
Oh, not on the
And
site.
then I just-
Not on
Well,
the
at
site.
least
Not
the
on
document
website.
should be
We're
there.
just supposed to be collecting the information.
She's saying.
The sign-in sheet covers that. Where we are missing the things, I'm not in all the committee meetings, I'm not at all the internal meetings. Those are the ones where it's all on you.
I just
But
wanted
as
to make
long as
sure I
I'm there in the
understood.
public meeting, you guys don't have to worry.
So John, what happens to those attendee lists?
So they are sent, the pre-reg list is sent ahead of time
Uh-huh.
to a selected group of leadership within the state. After the fact, and sometimes this is very long after the fact, depending on my bandwidth, a copy of the scan is sent back to that same district.
Well, it seems to me that that's not a really effective way to do that. I mean, I know that's what you do, but it seems no way to track attendance marketing, right? Because part of our goals, if our goal is to increase government participation, then the SIG leadership will have to then take that scanned document and extract if there's government participation and record that someplace so that we can do something with it. It doesn't seem like an actionable
Correct, but
product.
at this time, they don't have an independent, secure database to put personal information, to put PII information, and they do not
But is
want
it named
PII information
PII?
posted up
We
there.
have,
Is it name PII?
Phone numbers, email
No, I'm not
addresses, and
suggesting
names.
No,
names,
just the
phone
name.
numbers.
This person attended this meeting.
And it's just, we
I-
just had a name.
I will tell you, we used to have the membership list and attendee list on here. We were told to take them off because they're not in accordance with policy, Act policy. Y'all on the executive
What's the
committees.
policy?
You should-
Let's take this off.
Let's
Yeah,
take it
it's
off.
offline, it's not
Offsite
for
in
this.
June, we'll bring this
Yeah.
up then. How do you guys feel about that? Do you want to use it as Sherry suggested for knowing who attended and marketing and that type of thing? Is that be helpful to have that?
It would be very helpful.
Or, yeah, you just have to define, I mean, just to your point, just posting a name doesn't
A
really
name, this
do,
person
that really
attended
doesn't
this
do any
meeting.
good in this day and age, because people move companies all the time and people move agencies all the
Absolutely.
time.
Right.
So that doesn't do
There's
any
an
good,
easy
but
way
then.
to do it though, and I just was looking, so under your contacts, I've invited many people to be my contact or to go online and look. Nobody does. And so I've got 4 contacts.
I'm one.
Yeah, you're one, and John's one, and Mark's one, and Karina's one. But I mean, if we could have our contacts, you know, everybody who's in the CNT SIG,
And just check them?
yeah.
Okay,
With the
but
intent-
there's a
yeah,
policy
but-
issue, so we'll talk about it at the officer offsite. So
Well,
we'll
as long as
figure
we
it out.
have a registration list, that it's out there anyway, so.
John, could you like make people my contacts for me?
Well, we'll take it off,
We'll go-
offline. I don't
I
understand that
hate not
policy.
having contacts.
Remember, I think there's
I
already
need a
a
foundation for a
ticket
policy,
to
and I
add a
don't
feature where you
remember
can
reading.
select members without having to know their email.
I like to
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, and actually, I've been incorporating that into new modules.
Okay, I
Other
cannot,
part
I
about
don't think the
this-
quick links works.
Yeah, I just put a quick
She
link
put a
in.
quick link in and I don't believe it works.
I need to show you how it works, because you didn't do it. I guarantee you didn't do it. I told you, we're changing it. I have to show you how it works. Right now,
Okay.
the way you did, I'm sure you did it the wrong way.
What, put the URL in the?
No, you don't use that piece right now, because that's not what's displayed.
Okay,
I
so-
will go through it with you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
one other quick question then too, so like, let's say there's a fit meeting that we want to let our SIG know about. It's not a meeting here. What's the best way to get that? Is an announcement? Can I put a link so
If
we'll
it's
take you?
something, in that specific case, that's something that's above the SIG or the.
For those that, we need
Those
to
are
close it
automatic.
down for those people on the phone. Anybody who wants to stay, I'm not leaving right away. Anybody who wants to go through additional information, unless Mark is running out the door,
Nope, I have till 5 o'clock.
we're still here. You can walk out the door and not feel like anybody's watching you. So, thank you, everybody. As you need help, Mark's gonna send out the information, the presentation. I do wanna see how to do the link correctly.
They're posted, like I said, they're all posted in the SIG leadership area.
Awesome.
Oh,